and McCann.
Greetings. Welcome to Wake the Dead. Today we are very happy to have returning guest, Miss Amy Lane. Welcome, Amy. Hello.
Hey, Sean, how are you doing today?
Very good, thank you. Amy, you are a podcaster and researcher, and you were a guest previously on the show where we got into some pretty deep information about Mormonism and the occult, and it was delightful to hear. And the FLDS and the crimes of Warren Jeffs was very. We need to know the truth of these types of things, no matter how dark it gets, you know. And today will be another dark one, but we thank you so much for bringing this information to our ears. Today is a special day related to this topic, where we are discussing the Black Dahlia murder and the investigations and what is related to that. And it just so happens to be the day today that we're recording, Monday, July 29, is Elizabeth Short's 100th birthday. Elizabeth Short is the victim, Black Dahlia, and maybe we can find a little bit of justice here in this conversation for her. Thank you again, Amy. Please.
Thank you so much again for having me. And from Steve Hodel is the main source of most of this research. I've kind of compiled the art aspects and other aspects together, but he is the son of George Hodel. And he was a homicide detective for the LAPD for many, many decades. And it was only until when George Hodel died and he talked to his sister Tamar that he started investigating his father as a suspect, because he was trying to clear his name, but he ended up down a 20-year rabbit hole that he still hasn't taken himself out of.
Right.
Because the evidence is so compelling that it was his father, based on the obsession with the surrealist art movement.
Right.
So
it's very interesting that art is related, and the way that this gentleman, George Hodel, who we're going to talk about and get into who he is, this guy seemed like a very left-brained, like, psychopath, you know, and he is the son of a Russian countess. He was visited by, I forget, Rachmaninoff or something. He was a genius pianist when he was like 11 years old and played like concerts. And it makes me think that at that point, when you're that young, you're getting your technical skills, you know, with your fingers, and you're getting the dexterity.
Yes.
But it's not really the inspired creation at that point in your life, you know. And so he got to this level of masterful dexterity with his fingers, and wonderful, like, being able to copy others, but he's not creating new. And that's like a right-brained action, I guess, you know. And then he went into being a surgeon, and more with his fingers and his hands and his dexterity and his abilities. And he became this masterful surgeon, but still he longed to have the artistic, creative abilities his whole life, right? And that relates to this art.
Exactly.
Right.
You were on the money.
Tell us about George Hodel. Why should we know about this guy? I mean, it's not just a regular murder, right? It's I guess, where do you want to start? That's not a question at all, but I'll put it in your hands. Do you have a place where you wanted to get rolling on this?
Well, that was an excellent point that you made that I didn't even think about with the dexterity. He was a genius prodigy from age 5. He was forced to be a pianist. And so then once he kind of got away from his, oh, and also when he was 15 years old, he graduated from high school. So his
Right.
IQ was 186.
Wow.
Which a genius is supposed to be 140. So
Right.
he was extremely intelligent and cunning. And
But he had no sense of humor, right? He would never joke around. He had to have people explain to him what jokes were like. His son would
yes.
tell him jokes. It's very interesting what kind of mind this person has. But please continue, please.
Yes. And like you said, he emulated the Surrealist. He was obsessed with the Surrealist and what the Surrealist represented, but he himself lacked the artistic capacity to be a recognized artist, such as Man Ray or William Copley. So this murder was his way to not only one up the Surrealists, but actually walk the talk. Actually really do what they talk about in their in the Dada manifesto, which is we are murderers.
So,
but
I mean,
yeah,
the Surrealists, I don't know, I could probably pull up the Wikipedia or something, but the Surrealist idea is that this world is an illusion, and to go, like, they're meant to go into a dream space and bring back some kind of information to be expressed here in this world. Is that
yes.
okay.
It's more of like the unconscious realm of dream is more real than our actual reality. And so to make it super real and hyper real through a dream like disassociative state of being. Very similar to David Lynch, if you know his work.
Yeah. Yeah, he his Mulholland Drive kind of reminds me of the Black Dahlia murder.
Well, the Lost Highway film is basically...
Oh, that one. Yeah, that's the one.
He said that it is based on Black Dahlia.
Yes.
Because he spoke to the lead detective on the case, who was the cousin of Kubrick. And yeah, it's just they're all related to each other.
But Kubrick's cousin was also a murderer, right? I haven't released it yet. It will be released by the time this is released.
Great.
But I spoke with Steven Snyder, who wrote.
Yes.
He was on my show and just recently, and I haven't put it out yet. As of now that we're talking, I should have last weekend, but I'm busy. I'm sorry, everybody. But it was a very interesting conversation. We didn't go deep into the George Hodel and Black Dahlia stuff. We kind of touched on it a little bit, but
great.
Yeah, it's interesting. I guess it's Kubrick's cousin himself was a murderer.
Yes,
so
and then he was in it, and then he was actually in a film as an extra called Dreams Money Can Buy, which was a surrealist film which had Man Ray. A portion of it was Man Ray.
Right. So do you want to talk about Man Ray, or I guess we can talk about that at the end, or what?
Okay, so I have a very strict outline, just because I had to organize my thoughts.
I want you to take us through your organized thoughts, please.
All right, cool. Okay, so I'm just going to start with the murder itself, if you don't know the basic facts. Most people do, but it is just something that, just to kind of go over, what it's about. So January 9th, 1947, she went missing, Elizabeth Short. She was from Boston. She was kind of a socialite waitress. They say she was trying to be an actress, but there's no real hard evidence of her, auditioning or being in any films or anything. But she was, associated with like nightclubs, and she was a girl about town. And she got the nickname Black Dahlia because she had a penchant for wearing black sheer clothing. And there's just like the Blue Rose in Twin Peaks, there's no such thing as a Black Dahlia in nature. So it's kind of one of those surrealist motifs. So
that
Oh, sorry.
related to a movie, right? There was a movie called The Blue Dahlia or something.
Yes, prior to the Black Dahlia murder. It was a noir
Right,
film. Yes.
right, right.
Yep. You know
So
your
that's
stuff.
why, yeah, thanks. Yeah, pretty smart. I try. So like she others would call her the Black Dahlia, right? And
Yes,
do
and
you
she was a model. It was known she was a model in LA for a couple artists, so she could have been a model for Man Ray.
could she have been used in pornography and prostitution, do you think?
So there was rumors about her being a prostitute, but those weren't ever really substantiated. But it definitely
Because
seems like
most
she was one of
Hollywood,
these
okay,
SRA type people. Because
right,
she married someone in the military, he died in the war, and then she dated another military person. So that's like a big red flag to me, you
right,
know.
right, right.
And then
And
just how she's an ephemeral being, like there's not that much information about her. There's not that many photographs of her, even though she was supposed to be very in the LA scene. So
right. But we all know that there are socialites that were placed in the LA scene to manipulate and to blackmail and to be,
oh, for sure.
So like there might be a lot more to that character than we know. And so but anyway, she from Boston, which also is huge with the Satanism. I mean, a
Yes.
lot of
Yep.
like the Boston Brahmins, and you look at
Oh yeah.
Tuesday Weld and all this stuff.
Yes.
So
Very
there's a
cool.
lot. There's a lot to that, and so I mean, if people want to dig further, they should maybe investigate and see what they can find, because I think that George Hodel as well might have been abused as a child to make him that prodigy, to create that in him, to make him lose his morality or whatever. But I mean, we know about royalty and how they treat their children, and long before,
Oh,
like,
indeed.
SRA is longer than MK Ultra. It's been around longer, and it's a generational thing. And we've investigated that on our show before. So I do believe that George Hodel was affected by that type of treatment as well. But that's just a speculation, why would he think that these ideas that he had, I mean, anyway, we'll get into his ideas later. Yeah.
I mean, it's plausible. Like Kinsey, he's kind of like Kinsey, where he's just everything with him is sex. That's all he cares about. But at the same time, he's just got this psychopathic type, like you said, no remorse, no blunt affect, no emotion. Like there's a tape of him like speaking to his Filipino grandchildren when he had his second life, and it's so haunting. It's worse than Warren Jeffs.
Wow. That tape from Warren Jeffs was whoa.
Similar though. Similar.
Jeez.
But okay, so I'm gonna keep going because I have a lot to get through.
Please, yes, please.
All right, so Short arrived just like Elisa Lam. Short came to LA after being in San Diego, and she was in San Diego for the weekend with her 25-year-old boyfriend, who was a married man, salesman Red Manley. Red Manley told the police that he dropped her off at the Biltmore Hotel in LA. She was supposed to meet her sister from Boston. She was seen making phone calls. Some people say she was seen at the Crown Grill Cocktail Lounge. That was the last known whereabout. And then the whereabouts in the days leading up to her murder remain unknown. So then her body was discovered on the 15th of January in a vacant lot called, which is now Leimert Park. The body was posed in a ritualistic and intentional way. So the arms were over the head. The body was cut in two in a procedure known as the hemocorporectomy, where you have to, in order to not be able to cut through bone, you go through between the second and third lumbar vertebrae. And so somebody that did this had to have had very precise surgical knowledge to be able to do this. It wasn't just a hack job.
Right. And they used to teach this in medical school in the 30s
In the
and the
30s.
20s.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Yep. Yeah. So her lower half was placed away from the body, and all of her organs were taken out and placed under her buttocks. And it was surmised that the sawing in half was done post-mortem. So I'm going to go into, this is very graphic. So I'm going to go into the damages to the body. So the body had been drained of all the blood. She had a Glasgow smile, so she was cut from ear to ear.
Like
So
the
it's very,
Joker.
yes, very visible. And that goes into Man Ray, Lover's Lips, and Magritte, and I'll talk about that in a little bit.
Lover's Lips is a piece of art from Man Ray, right?
Yes. It's his most famous work of art, actually.
Right.
Okay. So she had ligature marks on her feet, hands, neck. She had 8 cigarette burns on her back, blunt force trauma to the head. That's most likely how she died. And the
hammer. She was hit with a hammer.
Yeah, and the hemorrhaging from the blood loss from the cutting and the blunt force trauma.
Right. But so the blunt force trauma is a ritual that is done since forever. They have a huge hammer, maleficarum or something, the witch's hammer. It's used in ritual sacrifice. That we even see it in that movie by Ari Aster, Midsommar. They had a big hammer for
I've seen that film.
Yeah, yep. When they didn't expire, they used the hammer to hit their head. Right.
Yep. Yeah, and
that's what a beetle is. A beetle is a hammer, but we don't need to get into that. That's an earlier show. But go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it.
Okay, you're fine. So there's actually a piece by William Copley, which is really creepy, and it's like, it is midnight, doctor, and it doesn't say what it is, and it's in the pictures, but there's actually implements on a tiled wall like a bathroom, and there's a hammer. I believe of one of the implements. So right on the money. Again. Okay. So I gotta.
This is great. Thank you for
keep
this.
Going.
Yes, please charge ahead. Charge right ahead.
Through the trauma of the body, it's terrible, but
it's disgusting. Yeah.
Okay, so scalpel lacerations to the right hip in a tic-tac-toe crosshatch pattern. So there's another Man Ray piece like that. Scalpel lacerations near the left nipple, and then the excised, the breast was removed completely, so it's some kind of trophy. And I will get into that with the Surrealists. There's actually a piece by Marcel Duchamp. But anyway.
That goes back to ritual sacrifice too. They would remove the left breast. And that's very deep. People need to look into that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and I found some more stuff with that, with the one eye symbolism as well. Because the nipples to the Surrealists are actually the eyes of the Minotaur. So that's why the woman's body is this, it's supposed to be the beast and the woman,
Right.
The beast and the Scarlet Woman in one kind of thing.
Right.
Okay, so the alleged, okay, oh, sorry, I screwed up. So
she had the hatchings and the breasts, and then what's next?
Like so many scalpel lacerations. Okay, so there was a piece of flesh that was taken from her thigh and put into her vagina, just really creepy and weird. And then sodomy, use of an unknown object. Her anal cavity was dilated 3 or 4 inches. So she was massively raped. And, force objects. And then she had an incision from her belly button to her pubis, so it was like a hysterectomy. And I will talk about that with the Dada Manifesto. It kind of relates to that.
Did they remove? Did they take the uterus and did they leave the ovaries or something? Isn't that?
I think it said similar to a hysterectomy, so I believe that the uterus was taken out. Yes.
Right.
And then she was washed down with a coconut fiber brush to remove all the traces of fingerprints. So somebody that knew exactly what they were doing. And then this is the weirdest part, which will make sense later, but I don't want to give away the whatever. So there was feces and granules, green granules of an unknown substance found in her stomach. So, feces. And then close to the body were 2 empty 50-pound cement bags with watery blood on them, used to transport the parts of the body to the dump site. So they were used to carry the parts of the body. And that becomes very important later with the Steve Hodel stuff. So that's pretty much what happened. The killer contacted the Los Angeles Examiner on January 23rd. He said he was the murderer, and he had some of her affects, like her birth certificate from her purse. And there was an address book. So the address book had specific names like Mark Hansen. So I believe that was George Hodel's attempt to deliberately put the heat on other people that were her known associates. It was totally deliberate. And it was also to like cause attention to himself, because he really liked to get attention. And his son actually believes that he could be the Zodiac killer. And so, and there's symbolism with the Zodiac, because the Surrealist, one of the Surrealist secret societies was called Zodiac, founded by Salvador Dali. So there's just so much. I don't even want to go down the Zodiac hole, but okay, so we've talked about George Hodel. You know a lot about him. He had a Surrealist newspaper. So after he got kicked out of Caltech when he was 15 for impregnating the wife of a professor, and he tried to run away with her, and she's like, "No, you're a child, like go away." And that really like spurned him and fucked him up, I think, for life, and his regard towards women. And so then he dropped out, and then he ran a Surrealist newspaper. Then he went back and he went to medical school. He got his degree from University of Southern California in 1936, his medical degree. And then he had 750 hours of surgery as a trained surgeon. So that is, Steve Hodel found those records. So that is a fact. He was the LA County Health Department head VD control officer. So again, this preoccupation with sex and sexual activity, it just totally goes in his whole life. He was also caught misdiagnosing sexually transmitted diseases in his practice to get money. And it ruined this lady's life, because she was told she had gonorrhea and she didn't. And she found out about it. She got a second opinion. And she went to the secretary, and she was pissed off. And so he paid her off. Well, the secretary found out about it. The secretary he was having an affair with, Ruth Spalding. In 1945, she mysteriously died of an overdose. And it is surmised that he was the murderer. And there's clear evidence of that from the tapes that Steve Hodel found in the archive that were supposed to be destroyed. But the guy on the case, Lieutenant Jemison, he made a backup copy. Luckily, if it wasn't for him making a backup copy, we never would know about those tapes. We would never have heard them. Wow. Or read those transcripts. So right. It's insane. So, I mean, there's murder 45, 47, the incest trial. It's just like bam, 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 bam.
Incest trial, huh?
Yeah, so we'll get there.
Okay, jeez.
Okay, so he was a libertine. He was a sexual deviant. He and his wife would have sex with other women, like Maddie Comfort, who is a black singer. Dorero was his second wife. So he had 2 wives named Dorothy. Dorothy Anthony, who was Tamar's mother. And that was his it's his first, I think it was his first marriage. But he had another wife who was common law, Amelia, with Duncan. So he was like a polygamist, because he had all these different wives and children living in the same house. So Dorero was his second wife, and she was the ex-wife of John Huston, the famous director.
Oh.
Who was tied to the communists. And yeah, I don't even
forget it, Jack. It's just Chinatown. Like John Huston actually impregnated his own daughter.
Oh,
interesting, right? And and then he's in that movie Chinatown, where he's the father who impregnated his own daughter. Interesting, right? It's very interesting.
Yep.
And then Mr. George Hodel, what did he do?
Impregnated his own daughter.
Interesting. Forget it, Jake. It's Chinatown.
Well, and
so that movie, right? Yeah, with the
Oh.
Polanski and all that, like it all like kind of folds into this LA story. Like it's very interesting.
Yep. It's like they're celebrating incest as a way of life. And they're
Right.
doing it in the 1930s and 40s through these Hollywood circles or these art circles.
Bunch of swingers, all on drugs,
Yeah,
bunch of
yeah,
prostitutes,
drugs. and
blackmail videos. Yeah.
and like they say in the Root of Evil podcast, George Hodel should have never had children because he wasn't warm. He never told them he loved them. They were just objects to him. And
Just like everything else in this world. It's like his left
yeah,
brain psychosis.
yep. And so so it's very important, the house that they lived in. So the house was called the Soden House. It's also known as the Franklin House because it's on Franklin Avenue near Griffith Observatory in Los Angeles and Hollywood. And they moved there. The house was built by Lloyd Wright, the son of Frank Lloyd Wright. Frank Lloyd Wright's mistress was murdered like 33 years before the Black Dahlia in a house that he had built for her and her children. So there's that whole
Wow.
rabbit hole I won't even go down. But anyway, Lloyd Wright built this house. So this became the party place for the Surrealists. And like I said, it was just sadomasochism, partying, drinking, and womanizing. Man Ray was the family's official photographer.
They were best friends. Right?
They were best friends. Man Ray, do you want to talk about Man Ray because you are the art person?
Well, I guess I'm an artist.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Person.
Yeah.
Man Ray is very influential in American photography. Like he kind of brought photography up to the level of art, where everybody else, like painters, and they thought photography was like for children. It's like people now with AI. Oh, you can make a picture by clicking a button. What do you think, you're an artist? That. But what Man Ray did with he would create art as like it would bring it was cerebral. It had a lot going on there. It wasn't just a picture of a landscape. We're going to show some of his art, I hope, today. I think we have some images. And he was an American artist. I mean, he came and he was like based in LA. And I believe that he is related to the dark occult just from his work and from his life and the way he's celebrated. And the ideas that he pushes, like the idea of the solipsism that's pushed heavily by Satanism for the masses, solipsism for the masses. The world is not real; it's whatever in your mind, and being lost in this dreamscape, But then there's also the mob zone of the Typhonian order of the OTO, where they go and they in this dream space where they can commune with other entities and bring back information. Possessions are in that area, so there's a lot going on with the occult, and I think Man Ray kind of brought not only photography, but he brought occult ideas to the fore for people to ingest. Like this, it was kind of the art was a way of smashing culture. Like the art was like the thin edge of the blade, which was cutting American culture apart. And now we're at the level where the Olympics are like, they're like mocking Jesus, but back then, like if you showed a picture of a woman with crosshatches on her face or a bisected torso, that is hideous to people, but it was pushing the edge of acceptance for the consciousness of humanity. Like I think that like Man Ray was way more sinister than Dali. I think Dali was just a joker, just having fun, but this Man Ray had like a sinister, I don't know. And some of my favorite artists are like Jim Jarmusch is like a huge fan of Man Ray. He just did an album called Music for Man Ray. It was just released like last month. It's like a double album.
Wow.
He's got his band is called Squirrel instead of the Quarrel. The way it's written out too is with that lettering, like, but it's got
Oh,
two
really?
umlauts over the U. It's really interesting. They his music is really good. People should check out Squirrel. It's fun, but I don't know. There's a lot of good artists that put him up on a pedestal. It's the same way. I mean, good artists put Roman Polanski up on a pedestal. That I mean, he makes good art. Like, still, like it's weird how they remove the morality from the art, and they still. It's like a mind game for us. I'm kind of going in nowhere land, everybody. I'm sorry, but Man Ray.
No, you're all good.
He's very important for photography, and he's very important for the history of art and the destruction of classic art and bringing it into this new modern art realm of turning women into objects. It's just
Yes.
shapes on a page. It's, what do you mean it's a
Exactly.
woman? She's bisected.
Yeah.
Oh, that's your mind that's putting it together that way. Like, everybody sees it in their own mind, in their own subjective way. So it's making the viewer rely on the subjective more than the objective, and it's putting us into a state of surrealist. Like, we have to go into our own subconscious to draw out what we think to explain this piece of art that doesn't make sense. Anyway, I hope that helps listeners.
Yeah. So I just to kind of cut to the point of Man Ray is that he was very much into female nude photography, and especially very like making a woman bend a certain way, or and that's what they said, was that he could manipulate the model like an object and then bring out the real essence of that person because of the way the artist posed them. And so that's the thing about the George Hodel thing, is the posing is very important when you get into the symbol of the Minotaur and other aspects. So
right.
But
one quick thing, the posing of the women is total control over a helpless woman.
Yes.
She's naked in front of him.
Yes.
And she has to move her body, do what he asks.
Yes.
Completely, and then give herself completely. It's the same as like a BDSM domination type thing, where
exactly.
Yeah. So she has to be totally submissive.
Yes. And that's how the Surrealists viewed women, was that they are in service to the art. They are to be dominated. And a lot of it comes from the Marquis de Sade, because he was their hero. But I'll go into that later. So wow. Man Ray was accused by Tamar Hodel of taking nude photographs of her when she was only 12 years old. Okay.
Right.
So when Tamar started living with Steve's brothers. So Steve had two brothers, Kelly and Michael, and Guerrero and George, and they lived at the house. And when Tamar was 14, she claimed that she was allowed into her dad's bedroom to participate in a party, and that Fred Sexton, who was another Surrealist artist, who also raped his own daughter, by the by.
Seems like a trend.
So they all raped their own daughters. So best friends with this guy. Right. They were hypnotizing the women. So they're hypnotizing the women, supplying them with drugs. There's two women, Barbara Sherman and Lillian Lenorak. Tamar stated that Sexton and Hodel were hypnotizing them, and she kind of became drugged herself. She didn't really know. She started to disassociate. Her clothes were off. And then before she knew it, she was engaging in sex acts with Fred Sexton and the other women. And Hodel got mad, threw him out, threw the women out. Well, had her do stuff with the women before he threw them out. And then had sex with her, according to her, impregnated her. and then forced her to have an abortion, an illegal abortion.
He's an abortionist himself too, right?
Yes. And he was friends with an abortionist named Charles Smith or Charles Hugh. I can't remember quite his name, but yeah, they were practicing abortions left and right.
So not only did he abuse, I mean, the abuse of his daughter, Tamar, is horrendous, and forcing her to have an abortion is horrendous as well. But think of all the other women, little girls in LA, just like Tamar. They were all getting raped by their parents, and they were all bringing their daughter to this guy to have their daughter have the baby removed. I mean, that's his profession.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, and it's really sad because nobody believed Tamar. So Barbara Sherman recanted her testimony because she was afraid for her life, because George Hodel, all the women that were around George Hodel were afraid of him, like Maddie Comfort, Ruth Spalding, all of them. Lillian Lenorak, I'll get into that in a little bit, but it's really twisted. So Dorero painted Tamar as a liar. And apparently Hodel paid off the corrupt LA law enforcement. He paid his lawyer $15,000 to pay off the district attorney. So that's why he got off scotch-free, because the only witness that said anything was Fred Sexton. He said, I did do stuff with Tamar, but I didn't penetrate her physically. So then he got off, like nothing happened to him. And then, so one
LA
of the women
is so corrupt. It's always been. It's so disgusting.
It's so sick. And like Hollywood Babylon showed that really well, the Kenneth Anger book. So the one present at the party was Lillian Lavornak, and she had a child, and she felt guilt for perjuring herself because she lied for George Hodel, but she was scared that he would have her committed and take her child away. So she started talking to him. Well, literally, the incest trial starts in June 49, ends Christmas Eve, starts Father's Day, actually, in 49. Wow. Father's Day, 49, I looked it up. And then Christmas Eve ends, and then a month later, this woman is like wanting to go to the police to change her story. Well, he drugs her. She wakes up with cuts all over her, like a botched suicide attempt. He calls the insane asylum on her, and then this policewoman takes her and gets her story, and they're like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with her. She was just afraid for her life. And he couldn't kill her because she was so close to him, but he could totally discredit her and make it look like she was crazy and she tried to kill herself. So,
I mean,
witness, not even witness tampering, but just outright witness killing or witness,
attempted, right?
Yeah,
But I mean, he killed his secretary, who was pretty close to him, like with the drugged, the pillow on her face or whatever. And he's the one that it was prescribing the drugs that she overdosed on. And he built up a large amount of them anyway. So,
So it was just really screwed up. And then literally he's bugged, and then I'll go into the bugging and then in a little bit. And then, and he makes outright confessions of murder about Black Dahlia and Ruth Spalding. And then there's kind of what sounds like a murder caught on tape. But anyway, I won't go into that now because there's so much more about Tamar. So Tamar gets pregnant in 1951. They say it's a Black man. And so her daughter is adopted by these Black people in Reno, Nevada. And she's taught her whole life she's Black. She doesn't ever become Black because both of her parents were not. And then she finds out that Tamar is actually her real mother. She doesn't want to know who her real father is because she's scared it's George, right? Anyone would be terrified to know that information. And she reunites with Tamar in Hawaii. Tamar had 3 sons and a daughter. She had a daughter named, get this, Deborah Elizabeth. So Elizabeth, just like
2 victims?
Elizabeth Short.
Wow.
Yes.
Deborah, wasn't Deborah the 2 wives were that name? The secretary, maybe. I forget which.
No, one. Deborah wasn't, but Elizabeth is Elizabeth Short. That's
Right.
what she was. She was named after Black Dahlia.
Right.
And so this girl, Tamar, sexually abused this girl at age 5, 10, and 11. And pimped her out to other men for money when she was a child, and arranged a night for her to be with George in a hotel. So she was raped by her own grandfather as well. So just so sick twisted. Then Tamar pimps out her own sons.
Do you think Tamar was hypnotized still? Maybe
Yes.
maybe
because
she's like alter personality come out.
yes, MK Ultra for sure, because okay, she's friends with Michelle Phillips.
Right. Yeah. Who was raped by her father.
Yep, who was raped by her father. Read that book.
Yeah.
And then her children claim that she said, and there's a tape of her, and she's like laughing about, oh, my father, I couldn't give him head right. I was choking on his cock. Ha ha ha. She's like laughing about it. And then her children told on the Roots of Evil podcast, they say, Tamar said, I was in love with my father. He was the best lover I ever had. And it's just like Michelle Phillips.
That's what they give to them. They put that hypnotize into them.
Yep.
Like the victims, they think that their abuser is their lover, you know, and they have this. It's very sick. So it's like pain and trauma all the way down through the generations, just one to the next and the next. It's so disgusting.
And the good thing is the children of her have finally ended the cycle, because Fauna Hodel, she went to Hawaii with her children and she said, you're fucked up. You treat your children like garbage. And she didn't even know about the abuse, but she found out about all this stuff with George. And so they're ending that cycle of abuse by telling the story through Steve Hodel. So I'd highly recommend the Roots of Evil podcast if you want to know more about this case. So I just want to go, so we've kind of covered everything. I just want to go into the whole bugging tapes. So we've talked about it. So it's literally a month after Lillian Lenormand is committed. It's 2 months after the incest trial. And the law enforcement is actually kind of after him. And so they bug him. When he's gone, they bug his bedroom and his living room, and they tap his phone.
Did they have a warrant?
No.
That's important for what happens later, but go ahead.
I don't believe they had a warrant. But
if they didn't have a warrant, whatever
I don't know if they actually had a warrant. I'm not certain, but I know he was under investigation for the murder of Ruth Spalding.
But they have to have. I'm sorry.
Well, and he was the prime suspect, one of the prime suspects in the Black Dahlia still.
Right.
3 years later.
But in order to bug the house, they have to have a judge sign this paper.
So maybe that's why they had to destroy the evidence, but like...
Right. No, we didn't get to the evidence yet. Go ahead, please.
Okay.
So what did these tapes find? So they put these tapes in the Franklin house? Or these, recording bug devices, right?
So these are the tapes that Lieutenant Jemison compiled in his investigation. And they were destroyed right after the surveillance operation ended. But he made a second copy, which was in the LA District Attorney's vault. And so Steve Hodel got access to those tapes just by happenstance, because he was so close to the LAPD as it was. So it's only by these strange circumstances that the evidence comes forward. And on February 18th, 1950, so 4:20 p.m., they heard a woman calling for the operator, crying over and over again, trying to get help. 7:35 p.m., this is George Hodel to Baron von Heringa. So he was some kind of diplomat, or I don't really know too much about him. I couldn't find too much information about him, but he was a German. So that kind of rings some alarm bells, like MK Ultra, Nazi scientist types, right?
And Baron is like a heraldic
title.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay, so this is George Hodel. This is the best payoff I've ever seen between law enforcement agencies. You do not have the right connection. I'd like to get a connection made in the DA's office. Any imperfect, and like you said, this cold, calculating affect. Any imperfections will be found. They have to be made perfect. Don't confess ever. 2 and 2 is not 4. We're just a couple of smart boys. They are out to get me. 2 men in the DA's office were transferred and demoted because of my trial. Supposing I did kill the Black Dahlia. They can't prove it now. They can't talk to my secretary anymore because she's dead. Realize there was nothing I could do. Put a pillow over her head and cover her with a blanket. Get a taxi. Call Georgia Street Receiving Hospital right away. Expired at 12:39. They thought there was something fishy. Anyway, now they may have figured it out. Killed her, inaudible. Maybe I did kill my secretary. And then literally an hour later, 8:20 p.m., 2 men went to the basement and began digging. Something was referred to as not a trace. It also appears a pipe is being hit. 8:25, woman screamed. 8:27, woman screamed again. It should be noted that a woman was not heard before the time of screaming since 6:50 p.m. She was not in any conversation and not heard of again until the time of letting out those 2 screams. 8:40, Von Heringa leaves the house. So they allowed, at the very least, physical assault, at the very worst, murder to happen.
Right.
And they did nothing. I mean, they didn't have a warrant, but I mean, that was someone's life. I mean,
right. If they could have said, "Oh, someone called the operator for police and we're just here." They could have knocked, and used that as an excuse, right?
I mean, that's such a cover up. I mean, it's ridiculous. And okay.
So
this is,
but I mean, another thing is that
Yeah.
they collect blackmail evidence and use it for their purposes. I mean, look at Epstein, look at P. Diddy.
Mhm.
How many crimes was recorded on those P. Diddy tapes, and none of that was stopped. There was like young girls being sold as prostitutes. There was, drugging of young women for rapes and stuff at these parties. All of that was on tape. They had like gang members buying drugs from P. Diddy in his house. Like, these guys are like the heads of these, whatever gangs in these big cities. And they get all that on tape. And then and then when Diddy doesn't really get arrested, they just go and they confiscate all his tapes out of his houses.
Exactly.
That's what that was.
To get rid of the evidence because he's the Black Epstein. Yep.
Right. So maybe that's why there's more to them not doing it, because maybe they're just collecting evidence. Maybe they're trying to get something on that Barron guy. Maybe they're trying to use that as blackmail against the Baron. Who knows what his life is all about, maybe, who knows? But I mean, a lot of the cops are just following orders, and the people that are higher ups, even the lower ones, are in occult orders. They wear robes. They do what they're told to. So who knows the real reason why they didn't go and help this young lady? And who knows who was it? I mean, was there a missing woman? And is there anything connected to this?
No, there's not. I mean, because this was just discovered just recently, nobody knew about this forever. Right. So it was all just speculation until these really serious investigations have begun. So
yeah. So his voice himself said, maybe I did kill the Black Dahlia, but they'll never know. Like, what kind of ego? Like, he's just so proud of his work,
Yeah. And so, okay, so it was around this time that Lieutenant Jemison questioned Durero. He came to Durero with a photograph of Maddie Comfort, and he said, Maddie Comfort says that George was seen with the Black Dahlia many times, and he knew her very well. Durero denied everything. She told George. George knew he was being tapped. On March 25th, he's speaking with Von Heringa. He says, Black Dahlia, FBI in Tibet. He wants to get out of the country. Passport is mentioned. He seems afraid, because that's around the time that Durero spoke with Lieutenant Jemison. And then Hodel says, talking about picture police have of him and some girl. Thought he destroyed them all. March 27th is the last day of the surveillance, and a few days later, he flees the country, or he flees to Hawaii, Japan, and the Philippines, and he stays in Asia till 1990.
Right. And Hawaii wasn't a state back then. It wasn't really United States at the time. It was like a weird territory. Yeah. And then he jumped from there to the Philippines, starts a new family, you know, has more kids. Crazy.
Yeah.
And the Philippines is famous for
child sex trafficking.
Yes. Thank you.
So imagine what kind of horrors he did in the Philippines. I don't even, because I lived in Thailand, so I know about all that stuff, and I don't even want to imagine it. You know what I mean? It's just horrifying. Okay, so this is very important. So, and then I can get into the surrealist stuff, and we can look at the art, and you can kind of elaborate on that.
No, I love it. Thank you.
Okay, great. So Steve Hodel, one of the greatest pieces of evidence, other than the tapes that Steve Hodel found, was receipts. So in the Lloyd Wright archives, he found a receipt dated January 9th for construction work done at the Soden property. And there were cement bags, about 10 of them. And it wasn't mentioned if they were 50-pound bags, but at that time, that was about the price for what it would have been. And so we have evidence of bags of cement, which there were empty bags of cement at the crime scene. And then we also have receipts for landscaping done at the house. So there was fertilizer. So there was steer manure. So he probably forced her, or most likely, I can't say 100%, but he most likely forced her to eat fertilizer, which has steer manure and fertilite. So that's what those green granules were in her intestinal cavity.
Right.
So it's crazy, man.
We know that SRA involves eating fecal matter. They do that. That's part of the humiliation ritual. It destroys them. I mean, there's a lot going on. The draining of the blood of the body, like, what is that? They were collecting that. You know, what are they using it for? You know, there's a lot going on to this thing. The torture,
the blood,
the anal rape, and the blood is missing, right? But that was also a trophy. I'm sure they took the uterus. So there's, it's not just a murder that's like posed really weird. Like they did stuff to her body beforehand. This is all ritual usage. This is it puts me in mind of the Mandy and Eyes Wide Shut. You know what I mean? And Mandy just had an overdose, but still, like she, she's like a rich socialite, and whatever. She's dating these like important people, and all of a sudden turns up dead. And what did they do to her? Kind of like Marilyn Monroe and all these other things, like the way that they use them and throw them away. And I think that Elizabeth Short was probably just, another woman of the night, that was highly prized in LA. She had like a great, she was one of the better hookers that everybody loved to have. And he wanted to use her in his artwork that we'll get into later, but here when we start talking about the art.
Yeah. Okay, so I kind of want, we talked about the Hodel Kubrick connection, David Lynch, and then there's just something really weird that I found when I did my research. There was an article and it was like gala at the Soden house, because this house is in music videos, it's in The Aviator, it's in a lot of movies. It's not like they've hidden it away from view. It's kind of, I think, a ritualistic. They pay homage to it. They were like, the energy is still there, right? And they harness that energy because we know that the elite do that. And so on October 12th, 2023, they have this gala where they're dressing in surreal fashion. Well, that really weirded me out because I thought, well, October 12th is Aleister Crowley's birthday. Right. So then I thought, well, I'm going to look up how many years it is between Aleister Crowley's birthday and that day in the Soden house. And it was 148. And then in the gematria calculator, it was Soden house was 148. And I was just like, what the fuck? So,
right.
I mean, and I know gematria is kind of like, you can kind of pull it out of thin air, but at the same time, like, I just had like October 12th is just a very significant date to the occultist, I believe. So,
right, I agree.
yeah.
I think it's one of the high holidays of the occult. I got to look at like it's almost every other week there's one, but anyway, so this house has this energy, and they revere it, they love it, they kind of like Laurel Canyon,
Yes.
the rich people buy these houses to be the new owner of this like famous place where all these things have happened. So this is like deep into the LA history, like this, Hollywood and the debauchery and the sex and the abortions and the ritual disposal of young women is kind of the theme in LA. It always has been. This is
Kind of like the old smiley face killer,
right,
kind of ideal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Edmund Tesk was another photographer who was in the elite. He was friends with Man Ray and George Hodel. And he was speaking with, I can't remember the guy's name, but Steve Hodel has this evidence. And he says, the Soden House is an evil place. Artists, philosophers, accountants, and politicians, we all played and paid there. Women were tortured for sport there. Murders happened there. It's an evil place.
Wow.
So that's a quote. So he knew what was up. And
right.
Yeah.
So no wonder this guy, George Hodel, wanted to be the owner of this place and to continue the practices in this place. And, it goes back to the Babylonian ritual, the fornication and the creation of these babies, and then the babies can be removed. That abortion itself is a sacrifice of the babies, just like the fires of Moloch. It's like a modern day ritual sex cult that and they created babies out of it, and then those babies get fed back into the ritual, and it's just this chain. There's many places like this house in America, and people need to be aware that there's a lot of houses. Looks like a normal house, just like Rosemary's Baby. It starts with looking out the window, and it comes in it's like, oh, just normal New York, and it goes in this window, and like, oh, just a normal apartment, oh, just normal people. And
yeah,
these, Satanists living there in this normal house.
Yeah, and the house will become important in the art because the house is literally in the artworks as a homage to the ritual. So post hate.
Do you think this homage and reverence for the murder is do you think there's a modern day? Do you see that in the West Memphis 3 and Damien Eccles is held up like a hero?
Yeah, that is so strange to me because it's so obvious that he is just evil to the core.
Right. Right. He did that. He admitted to it. Everybody knows he did it. He's famous for it. And then, the guy from Black Flag, is fawning on stage, giggling over, and you got the Pearl Jam guy there also.
Yeah.
And, even Margaret Cho and these weird people out of nowhere. And that's just
Johnny Depp.
Right. Yep. Johnny Depp. And these Satanists are revealing themselves in that, even Jackson, the guy that did the Lord of the Rings movies. He's got one of Damien Eccles' tattoos on him too. They're all one big clique.
It's socially acceptable somehow. I don't understand it, but we're a different breed from these parasites. So
thank God. Yeah.
Okay, so I kind of want to end on George Hodel. I mean, we'll talk about him, but I want to talk about surrealism. So, like you said, surrealism was an art and cultural movement developed in Europe, and it happened between World War I and World War II, when everyone was really fucked up mentally, PTSD, shell-shocked, disenchanted, disenfranchised. And so artists aim to allow the unconscious mind to express itself, often resulting in the depiction of illogical or dreamlike scenes and ideas. Its intention was, according to leader Andre Breton, to resolve the previously contradictory conditions of dream and reality into an absolute reality or super reality or surreality. And then, so it focuses on the subconscious and dream states and rejection of all reason, just like kind of Freud influenced the surrealists through free association, dream analysis, and the unconscious. And the surrealists like to do juxtaposition. That's like their thing. So taking two elements not normally put together, and like the relationship is transformed by putting them together. And so again, with the, like what we're talking about with the nipples as the eyes, or the woman as the object, you're just taking something and turning it into something else, but it's not immediately apparent until you think about it, right? So yeah, so they're very much about strong images and strong emblems, and kind of putting it in your face. And some of the most famous ones were Man Ray, Salvador Dali, Picasso, Magritte, Copley, Duchamp, Lee Miller, Masson, Max Ernst, etc.
Right.
And then the Dada movement influenced the Surrealists. It predated it, so it's 1920. So this is the Dadaist manifesto. It's really fucked up. To the public, before going down among you to pull out your decaying teeth, your running ears, your tongues full of sores, before breaking your putrid bones, before opening your collar-infested belly and taking out for use as fertilizer.
Whoa.
Again with the fertilizer motif. Your too fatted liver, your ignoble spleen, and your diabetic kidney, before tearing out your ugly sexual organ, incontinent and slimy, before extinguishing your appetite for beauty, ecstasy, sugar, philosophy, mathematical and poetic metaphysical pepper and cucumbers, before disinfecting you and vitriol, cleansing you and shellacking you with passion. Before all that, we shall take a big antiseptic bath. And we warn you, we are murderers. So I think that influenced Hodel. Nobody I think really found that out, but you can draw obvious parallels with the ripping out the sexual organ, ripping out, and then it says to the public. So
right. So Elizabeth Short is one of the public. I mean, literally.
Yeah.
And she was ripped apart. Oh man. So,
okay,
yeah. I mean, it rips apart our idea of art and what art is. It also rips apart the beauty that we resonate with in art. A lot of now modern art is not beauty. There's there's Piss Christ, which actually I think is a good photograph because of the glow and the way that and if you think about the way that Christ, if he did take those amanita mushrooms, his piss would be a doorway to another world. But anyway, but those ideas, they took apart the magic of art, and then it turned it into this. Just afterwards, you got the Campbell Soup guy, and Pollock, Jackson Pollock, that kind of stuff, and which was also promoted by the CIA to devolve our society. And so we don't need to get into that.
Modern art, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. So there's that. Yeah, we can get to the picture. So that's George Hodel. That's a photograph by Man Ray.
Right.
And I don't even know. That looks like Avalokiteshvara. I don't even know what deity that is, but it's very. Look at his creepy look.
Right. Contemplation on the.
Yeah.
So that's an Indian deity. It looks like somebody riding atop some deity with many arms. I don't know. It's surrounded by fire.
And this was probably when he was in Asia, doing his dark deeds. So
right.
That's probably what that's about. And then can you show the next picture? Okay, thank you. This is the Exquisite Corpse. So there's a book called Exquisite Corpse, and these artists, they kind of detailed this network surrounding Man Ray and Hodel, but they center more on Orson Welles as being the killer.
Huh.
And they talk about how the Exquisite Corpse is a drawing game that the Surrealist made up, where 3 or more artists fold a piece of paper and each person draws one fold, and then you only see what the last person wrote. So it's a surreal outcome. It's a juxtaposition. So it's like the beauty and the monster together again with the Minotaur. And there are some people that believe that maybe Hodel did not act alone, and maybe he had Fred Sexton and the abortionist and others participate in the rape, in the degradation of the body. And that is totally possible because like her anal cavity, and then just how like there were just so many different things done to her so that she was an exquisite corpse, quote unquote.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's that.
This, for the listeners, this image, you can see where the paper was folded, and the top image, or the top part, has one-eyed face where every facial pieces are moved around into odd spots. And then it's got a goatee also. And then below that, the torso looks like a heart. And there's a serpent coming off to the right with a woman's head. And on the left side of the image, there's like a wheel and what looks like a mechanic, like maybe
a sewing machine or something.
Oh yeah, maybe sewing machine. That's an idea.
Because they were really into that kind of imagery.
That makes sense. Yeah, sewing machine. And so between the legs, under the torso is like skinny, kind of disgusting legs that have a seahorse as with wings and like a serpent's tail between the legs, kind of acting as the phallus of this character. And then below that, the third artist drew legs on a pedestal. I can't really read what it says. On the pedestal, it looks like little words, but it could be a stack of books, but it looks like a pedestal. So that's the image. It's very strange, and your brain has to think really hard to figure out what the hell is going on in this thing. So
yeah. So
okay.
All right. So could you show the next picture?
Yes. Here we have Sade. Is that the Marquis de Sade?
Yeah, so this is Man Ray's portrait of him because no portraits of him existed of him as an adult. And so this was an imagined portrait of him watching the Bastille burn that he was imprisoned in. So he was imprisoned in the Bastille and he wrote 120 Days of Sodom, which is the most screwed up stuff Wikipedia page I ever read in my entire life.
Right.
So I'm just going to read it. In this work, an orgy of 600 passions go on for many weeks. Coprophilia, necrophilia, bestiality, incest, rape, child rape, flaying, flagellation, burning people alive, etc. The character in the work claims there's no God, but he is a machine following the instincts given to him by nature. Classification of deeds as virtue and vice are mere social conventions, and the only universal good is universal pleasure. Given that vice gives Sade the greatest pleasure, he is obeying nature's dictates by indulging in vices and passions.
He's doing what he wilt, right?
Exactly. And they loved him because he was the absolute freest ideal of a libertine. And so they loved him.
I mean, he was abused by his mother, I think, who was like a prostitute or something. And maybe it was his aunts too, or something like that. And so he was abused as a child, and with the SRA type abuse, they mix pleasure and pain on purpose to rewire the brain towards psychopathy. The practice of SRA done to the children while their mind is growing, they cross the wires of pleasure and pain.
Yes.
To the oxytocin no longer works right. Like what fires together wires together. So this person who was abused as a child, that's pleasure to him, and the total psychopathy, it just became his lifestyle. And that's, no wonder Crowley was the same way. No wonder these people are revered by modern day Satanists. And the practices it's not like abuse anymore. It's like it's not abuse of the victim. They're focusing on the perpetrator, and they're like, oh, he is so free to do that, and like, oh, I want to be free too, and it divorces them from empathy. So, and this, the modern day, like the 50 Shades of Grey and these types of things that are like introduced into the society is and all Kinsey and what Kinsey's done, it wears away our morality in that vein, and that and now we are free to revere these, not we, you and me, but I mean, modern day Satanists are free to revere these people. And if they can, if there is no morality, then these acts are just acts. There is no reason to have emotional connection to it. It's like an excuse for and then and by putting that up as on the pedestal, that's like it's more of a divorce from morality in their mind. Like they're in a sense putting themselves and their desires above all else and all others.
Yes.
And that's the essence of Satanism. So that's important. This dude, Marquis de Sade, is very important for the Satanists and for the ideology of Satanism. And it's interesting that Man Ray wanted to paint this guy. Tells you a lot about Man Ray,
Yeah, he actually has two other homage pieces to him, and they're just like woman's assholes. It's like,
wow.
So,
my God. so
there you go.
So we're gonna warn people about this next one coming up.
Yes, this one is graphic. So it shows the Black Dahlia body, and she looks like the Joker from above.
Right.
The lady that found her thought she was a mannequin, and the arms are raised just like Ishtar, which I'll go into at the very end.
Right.
And you have the lover's lips by Man Ray, like the Glasgow smile. You have the breasts as the eyes, like the Minotaur, and it looks like a bull, the Minotaur. You see the nose, the eyes, and the arms, or the arms are the horns.
Right.
So again, changing a woman into a beast, and that whole symbology of the Minotaur eating the virgins in the labyrinth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, the Apis bull of Egypt.
Yes.
That relates it's like there's a crescent moon, with the sun between, and that the crescent moon looks like those raised arms as well.
Yeah, and I even found parallels to Mithraism with the Tauroctony, where Mithras slays the bull and the blood spills on the side because of the scalpel. There's certain surrealist artworks that are similar to that. So this whole kind of bull worship.
Right.
So do you want to show the next picture?
Sure can. Yeah.
All right. So
there she is. Okay,
so there she is again.
Eyes, everybody. Sorry.
And this is, and it just looks just like her. The Les Invendables. That's Man Ray, and it looks like a Minotaur woman. If you want to explain it to the viewers that aren't watching.
Okay. So there's the lower portion. It's a painting, and the lower portion of the body has 4 legs, painted brown, and the upper portion, it kind of goes up into a torso that's still brown, and then just below a pair of female breasts, there's the skin of a female with the breasts hanging, and her arms are pointed up, just like Elizabeth Short's body, and the hands are removed, and there's pointy horns at the top where the hands are, and the face is not there. It is removed, and it's painted the same color as the legs. Yeah. And L'Equivoque by Man Ray, the other one, this woman also she has the cross hatching where the face should be. So this cross hatching also relates to the body of Elizabeth Short because of the cross hatching scalpel marks on the torso or leg.
I think it was a thigh. Yeah.
Thigh. Right.
So can you show the next picture, Sean?
Sure can. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so this is Minotaure. So Minotaure was the Surrealist publication, very famous. Pablo Picasso, Man Ray, Andre Breton, Copley, all of them. And we have this cow skull with it's got a robe, like a black kind of devil robe, a burning like mellophone or tuba, I don't even know, on the side.
Right.
And then there's like a bisected, it's like a kind of like a Russian doll, naked woman, but it's like bisected. So it's just the pubic, and then it's the torso, and then the arms are raised up again, like Ishtar.
Right. Yes. So the Minotaur is imprisoned in the labyrinth, and it eats virgins, right? But that's kind of a Gnostic idea. If the Satanist sees himself as the Minotaur, trapped here in this world created by Yahweh as a prison, maybe that is why they revere the Minotaur so much, because they see themselves reflected, because the Minotaur is the bestial nature. Like Mithras is slaying the bull. Like he's the civilized man killing the beast.
Yes, exactly. The rational. I'll talk about that. Yeah, for sure.
Good. All right. So that's a great picture of that. I mean, that painting I think is pretty interesting. It's good to look at. Like it's well done painting here. And so this is the cover of the magazine from the 10th of 1937. November 10th.
Yeah.
1937.
So like Picasso did the first one, and his Minotaur was really manly and had like a dagger, and they all just did a different style of it.
I see.
But like you were saying, the Surrealists loved the Minotaur. They didn't see the Minotaur as a monster. They saw it as a necessary revolutionary force for change.
Right. And that's the same idea that the Order 9 Angles. They have the same idea where they want to create, have the Satanist within. The Satan within be revered and brought out in the individual. And there's a lot to that. People need to look at the bestial nature in Satanism is the higher self in their mind. They think that by doing so, they're removing themselves from the creator. Like they're divorcing from their spirituality and their care, to become the beast. Okay. So next is the famed picture on the third edition of Minotaure, Salvador Dali and Man Ray, and they look psychopaths. Like you said, I don't know if Salvador Dali was. He did some weird Exquisite Corpse kind of stuff, but definitely Man Ray. There's a quote from Man Ray which says, "Am I a photographer or a painter? Well, do I have to choose between the two? Why can't I have both? I'm greedy. I do many other things too, some of which I can't mention here." Right.
So, revolution of the method. The next one, Lover's Lips. So Lover's Lips was painted before the Black Dahlia murder. It was supposed to be his departed lover, Lee Miller, who's another Surrealist, lips above the Paris Observatory. And then it's French. It's still life composition with chest set and plaster cast from the series À l'heure de l'Observatoire, Les Amours, from 1934. And so you see the lover's lips, and then you see the landscape, and then you see a bust or a plaster cast statue cut around the waist, And there's also a chessboard next to the laying sculpture. And interestingly enough, chess was very important to the Surrealists because the grid of squares is the basis for all art, according to Man Ray.
The chess is an ancient occult game, and if you read Tracy Twyman's book, Baphomet, she'll tell you, or you can read about how Baphomet described Jesus's crucifixion as the taking of the king. It was actually played out. It was a chess game played out in real life, and Jesus lost. It's really interesting. But chess is ancient, and it comes from the occult world. I don't know if they've ever nailed down where it exactly came from, but it is ancient, and it relates to also what Baphomet instructed Tracy Twyman to create a new type of Ouija board that included a chess board in it. And
Oh, wow.
it has to do with the ritual. There's a lot to chess, so people need to look into that too.
Wow.
So you want me to move on to the next here?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. So quarrel.
Okay, so this is Q is for quarrel. So this comes from Alphabet for Adults, but from 1948. So it was created only a few months after the murder and published in 1948 by Man Ray and William Copley. And so it's very weird because it's the Rubens vase effect, where you're looking at it and it looks like a vase, but then it looks like two faces. So
it's using the negative space to create the line of the edge of the space, right?
Yeah, and so we can see kind of like the shape of a woman's torso. So you see where the eye is coming out, and there's legs, and there's two people. So it's like two people looking down at this courtyard. And then can you go to the next picture?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't know if you can zoom in.
Sure. Here, 1 second.
So this is the Soden house. This is the courtyard, and you know, the Soden house was Mayan architecture. So again, with the sacrifice theme,
right?
And you have the tops of what are the walls, which look just like the top part in the other picture. I don't know. Could you explain it? You're much better at this than I am.
Oh, well, the way that the walls are with this house, it creates like it's almost like a psychedelic effect, the way that cathedrals are built. It's fractal, the way that it is, and it I guess it's tough to describe, but it looks like blocks, the same way that the Aztec pyramids are built. And it looks like a big glass door or whatever window, and above it is a pyramidal structure of stone blocks, and the doorway is glass in like where you can walk inside, I guess. And it's in a courtyard in the center of this house that we've been talking about. And I guess here there is someone wrote quarrel and put the eye right up at the top, where at the apex of the window area in the window below the pyramidal structure. And that kind of relates to the eye and the blocks of this below the eye. What looks like the vision out of the eye looks like a grid, and it's similar to the way that the windows are built, where it's tough to explain. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, it's hard
People,
to
please
explain.
visit my Odyssey or my Rumble, and check out what we have here. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm going to read kind of the meaning, the interpretation of it this is from Steve Hodel.
Mm-hmm.
So a man and a woman, George and Dorero Hodel, arguing in the courtyard of the Hollywood Soden home. The roofline and architecture leave no doubt it is our 1947 Hodel residence. Present during the argument and seen at the south end of the courtyard is the naked body of a third woman, alive or dead. Her legs are spread open and her vagina is being sexually penetrated inside the courtyard. Further, this drawing was created only months after the crime and published by Man Ray and William Copley. And then, okay, so George Hodel gives or is given La Occultiste by Man Ray around this time, which is an eyeball that looks like it has like black goo in front of it, just like that for Kenny. Simple. So that will be the next picture. That will be the next picture. Can you go to that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So this is George Hodel in the Philippines. Look at his little guinea pig looking self. And he's with these Filipino guys, and that's a picture of the sculpture La Occultiste.
I see.
So, or La Occultiste, I don't know. It's all French, so I'm sorry I'm butchering it.
It's all good. Yeah. No, this is interesting.
Yeah, so compelling, right? Very compelling evidence.
Right.
And so I'm going to finish this part out. The drawing, which Man Ray represented as both an all-seeing eyewitness to the quarrel and as the physical, sexual part, the vagina of the unknown woman. In this drawing, Man Ray's object of my affection is made to become both witness to and victim of a terrible secret hidden inside the courtyard of Dr. Hodel's Mayan temple. In effect, Man Ray, by gifting this sculpture, was saying, "Here, George, take and keep them both." So, like you were saying earlier, like Steven Snyder has said, this idea of these mansions are temples. They are temples where rituals occur.
Right.
So.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
So moving on, we got the next one.
Yeah.
It's Midnight Dr. Hodel, MD.
So this is a drawing. It's kind of a crude, rough drawing, and it's got a guy that's dressed like a doctor. He's got a doctor's bag and a hat, and there's tile, like kind of like the Podesta weird art with the Vanderbilt baths with that tile in the background.
Right.
And
so
apparently,
like this could be like a bathroom is. You could get wet blood all over it and wipe it clean.
Yes. Yep. And there's all these implements on the wall. So there's like a hacksaw. I think, is there a hammer, a ball peen hammer? I can't tell. But it's like surgical implements.
The first one on the left looks like a hammer used in kitchen, like a kitchen tool for pounding chicken. It's like a square head hammer, and it's got like knobby edges, like a meat
tenderizer.
That's the word. Yep. That's it.
Yep.
Which is very reminiscent of the witch's hammer. Same way. The witch's hammer is the same. So yeah, then we have a scalpel and a saw, and I don't know, does pull open the rib cage. I don't know what that next one is, and then below it looks like another blade of some sort. And then there's a woman naked with her hand on her head, laying down on the ground below the doctor and all of these implements. This is oil painting by William Copley, 1961.
Yeah, and so the implements themselves actually spell out Hodel MD, which is so creepy. That. And then the tiles are 12 by 15, and if you rearrange 12 and 15, you get 5121, which is the Soden or Franklin Soden residence.
Oh,
so it's This painting depicts the doctor as a killer, the surgical tool spelling his name, the location of the surgery as the tiled bathroom, identical to the master bathroom, because Steve Hodel has a picture and it looks exactly the same. And then in his hat, it says Hodel. You can't really see it well. And then the numerical address. And then there's another picture of Copley where he's laying on in a minotaur position, and it says GH on a wall, like as a glove and a hat. So it's kind of that pareidolia. They're using pareidolia to fuck with you. basically. So yeah, so there's that. And then the last art piece I want to talk about is, which I didn't have a picture of, but it's a 3D foam sculpture of a breast.
Oh.
And it was by Marcel Duchamp, and it's called Please Touch. And it's from 1947.
Wow.
And so that was, I believe that was an homage to the trophy, which was the breast, which was, you know, perhaps buried there because they did kind of canine investigations around there, and they did find evidence of cadavers or human remains on the property.
In the house, right? On the property of Hodell's house, right?
On the property, but they couldn't, because like the back slope or something is Laura Prepon's house and she wouldn't give them permission. They couldn't do any more investigation, but
wow,
they did find evidence of human remains at the Soden house. So the owner of this, one of the owners of the Soden house actually had it exorcised a few years ago.
Wow.
That's how much dark energy is there. So
I wonder if it helped.
yeah. Okay, so I've gone through enough of the art. And then, oh wait, there is one more. There's a couple more pictures about the picture of the Black Dahlia. Can you show that? I just remembered.
The young lady who we have here.
Yes.
Do you see her?
Okay. Yes. Okay. So there's a picture of a woman. Her eyes are closed. Her arms are raised, like she's almost like propped up against a couch or something. And she looks naked, but you can't see her breast. And her lipstick looks very smeared. So again, we have the lips. The lips is a surrealist motif. Matisse saw the lips as a parable for the vagina because they look very similar, just like Georgia O'Keeffe. Right. And so this is surmised. Okay, so this photograph was in a photo album that June Hodell gave to Steve Hodell after George Hodell died. And it says photograph number 2, and it looks very, very much like Elizabeth Short. And I guess he did some kind of forensic facial analysis on it, and it was like a 98% match. Wow. So that was really interesting.
So this might very well be Elizabeth Short.
Yes, before she was killed, or maybe when she was killed, because her eyes are closed. We can't really tell. And then can you show the next picture?
Yeah.
So this is Man Ray. He's holding the picture of the lips, which could be Elizabeth Short, could be Lee Miller. He's got one eye closed. He's got the pipe, which is the surrealist motif as well. And then in the background, you can't really see because it's really small, but there's a bisected figure. It's abstract, but you can tell it is.
Oh, right. The blocks above. Yeah, it's almost like a torso. And you can see the wall between at the waist level. It's separated. Yeah. So that's a photograph of Man Ray. What a goofball. Jeez. Okay, moving on.
Yeah, okay, so and then this is Dolly. This is the exquisite corpse. So again, the scalpel kind of cuttings on the thighs. This is from 1945, so it predates it.
Right. So it's inspiration, not homage.
Yes.
Right. So here's another graphic one. It's kind of covered. Put a couple dots here.
So that's Marcel Duchamp Attendons, and it's just the head. It's like it's looking through, like you were saying, looking through a portal, looking through a courtyard, looking through a hole, and the head is not in view, so you can't see the head. The legs are splayed, and the arm is raised.
Right.
Very similar to the posing of the body.
Right. Wow.
1940, and he began this in 1947, and he wouldn't release it until decades later, and I can kind of see why.
Oh, right. Duchamp wanted to wait until after his death, right, to release it.
Yes.
Right. Wow. So that's like an homage to Hodell, right?
Yes.
My goodness. And here we have the last one. It's got your podcast on there, Amy Lane podcast. Yeah. So these are pretty much the images that we've seen before. In the middle, we have the quarrel, and someone has put legs there, and it's more visible how the vagina is the eye, and it is the portal to this world. I mean, and then the lips are like a devouring kind of. There's a lot to the to that too. The way that so anyway, I guess I don't want to get into that, but still,
Yeah.
this the way that this all pans out is that the artists themselves are psychopaths, and they revere the psychopath himself, Hodel, and his left brain psychosis couldn't make real art in the real world, but a left brain psychopath can do murder. So he pushed his limits to the peak. I'm sure that the Order of Nine Angles would revere this guy for becoming the most Satan someone can be, to destroy their own family, to rape and murder, have many families. Like this this character, George Hodel, is very interesting if we want to understand the psychopath, and if we want to understand why they do what they do. Things like that murder are only possible when we have a fully psychopathic mind. And it seems like that surrealist art is revering the psychopathic mind, as if that is the epitome of the human state, to get to the place of psychopathy and Satanism. And it seems like Hollywood is still there today. What do you think about that? Do you think that's right?
Oh, totally on point. I don't think I can add any more to that. I mean, you really, and I like your perspective that you added, that I didn't even think about the left brain versus the right brain. He's totally a calculative psychopath, you know?
Right.
So,
and that is their epitome of human, in their mind. I mean, even when they abuse with the SRA, they can create a psychopath, and they're doing that on purpose to bring that out in the child, to create a different kind of human, to create someone like a Marquis de Sade. Those are the only people that have the ability to do the evil, that are such evil that's being done in this world. It takes a true psychopath to be able to perform these things. And by putting people like Marquis de Sade on a pedestal, or George Hodel on a pedestal, those are the alphas that the other artists that wish to cremate their care look up to. It's their model of, like Crowley was on the cover of the Beatles album. They're looking up to these people because they see it as true freedom, but that's a Luciferian idea. The snake in the garden told Eve that, oh, hey, you're trapped here, and this guy that put you here, he's evil. And I'll show you the way. These people, they drank the Kool-Aid, and they've fallen for the Luciferian lie. And they depict it in their art. It's very interesting. I would like to get a lot more into the artwork and to on the show.
That just scratched the surface. I mean, there's so much more I didn't include. It was just, I just kind of wanted to get the most compelling evidence. But yeah, you could find it in so many of their works and films as well.
Right.
And then yesterday I just came across, I was just trying to think of, like, well, what about the occult, like the real occult symbolism, like the Minotaur I get, but the way her arms are raised, you remind me of Ishtar. So, Isis is Egyptian, Ishtar is Akkadian, and then Tiamat is Sumerian. Right. So Tiamat was the serpent of chaos, the ancient one, the mother of the gods, and the abomination of chaos. So in the Sumerian story of Tiamat, the gods agree, a battle ensues, and Marduk vanquishes Tiamat, her host. Marduk then uses Tiamat's carcass for the purpose of creation. He splits her in half, like a dried fish, and places one part on high to become the heavens, the other half to be the earth. Pisces by Man Ray shows a naked lying woman in the same pose next to a fish.
Huh. Jesus.
And again,
And
like
a Pisces is two fish, so you got a one fish, and then the girl's the other fish.
Yes, and then
right.
you have the fertilizer as the sacrifice, or it's the internal organs and the fertilizer in her, and how the lips are exalted to be in the historical record of art forever, but the body or the lower half is going to create. And so it's like you're saying, this was Hodell's creation. This was his masterpiece, his Murder as a Fine Art. That's pretty much all that can be said about it, I think.
Just like old Damien Eccles, he had Murder as a Fine Art and all those a-holes that hold him up on a pedestal. Like, we see it every day, People even people now are starting to revere Hitler again. Like, people they're being duped. They're falling for these lies. And we know that Satan is the father of lies, like, if truth is the way, like, truth is, we're going to climb out of this lie pit of lies. And hopefully this show and your show as well can help all of the listeners find their way to the light. Tell us about your show. Where can listeners find your show?
Okay, so my show is called Suspend Your Disbelief, and it's going to be on Spotify for podcasters.
That's great.
So, and I'll give you the link. Yeah, Suspend Your Disbelief with Amy Lane.
Okay. And we will have the link by the time I get this edited. It will be below for all of you listeners to click, and they can find that on your YouTube, and as well as, so Spotify is audio, but do you still, I thought you just started a YouTube. I know you were doing DLive. I
have a YouTube that I've had for many years. It has a lot of travel, like when I lived in Europe and Asia.
Sweet.
So I've got that, and then I stream on DLive.
All right. So DLive, and I have those links from our previous conversation. I will put those as well for people to find.
DLive.tv/Amy Lane. Amy_Lane. Yeah.
Amy_Lane. All right. And thank you again. And, we love the deep dive information, and it's interesting for all the listeners to get a bigger picture on what's really going on. Everybody says, oh yeah, Black Dahlia, that's weird. Yeah, it's kind of gross. And but now with our knowledge of the occult, and with our knowledge of the abstractions, and with Steve Hodell's deep dive digging into his father and his connections with the LAPD, we were able to bring the story here for you today. And thank you all for listening. And please visit Amy Lane and see her work. And hopefully we will have you here again, Amy. Thank you, listeners, and we will see you next time on Wake the Dead.